Hi, and welcome to another video on material properties. I'm Sharif Ismail. I'm an English language fellow in Erdenet, Mongolia. Let's look at this picture. What do you see in this picture? That's correct. We see three types of spoons. Are they all made of the same material? Nope. They're made of different materials. Have you ever asked yourself why are these spoons made of different materials? That's correct. These spoons are made of different materials for different reasons. Which one do you think is the cheapest? That's correct. It's the plastic spoon. Which one do you think is the most expensive? That's correct. It's the metal spoon. Which one do you think conducts electricity and heat? That's correct. It's the metal spoon. Which spoon would you use to eat ice cream? Maybe the metal spoon. And which one would you use to stir fried stuff in the oil? Maybe use the wooden spoon. Which one would you use to eat yogurt? Maybe the plastic spoon. Have you ever asked yourself why do we use these spoons differently? That's correct, because each spoon is made of a different material and each material has a different property. We have some questions here on the left. Let's read these questions together and think about the answers. First question says, which one is easier to break? Which one do you think is the easiest one to break? Which spoon? It's probably the plastic spoon, then the wooden spoon, then the metal spoon. Do you think you can break the metal spoon? Maybe not. Why do you think you can't break the metal spoon? Because the material is very different and it has different material properties that doesn't let it break. Which spoon is the easiest to conduct heat and electricity? That's correct. The metal spoon is the one that conducts heat and also electricity. Which spoon might melt faster than any other spoon? The plastic spoon can melt the fastest compared to the other spoons because it's made of plastic. Which spoon is made of natural material and which spoon is made of synthetic material? That's correct. The wooden spoon and the metal spoon, they're made of natural materials. And the plastic spoon is made of synthetic material, which is plastic. Even though the wooden spoon would be the only spoon that's made of a direct natural material, which is wood. For the metal spoon, the metal was extracted from rocks at first. It's still considered natural material. Which spoon is the shiniest? That's correct. It's the metal spoon. So now we notice that each spoon has different properties because it's made from different material. We know that in order for us to avoid heat, we use the wooden spoon. These are some different types of, or some different properties of material. Some materials are very hard, so hardness, elasticity. Some materials, they're elastic, they're very flexible. Some materials are very brittle, they break easy, and some materials are very dense. Let's look at this in detail. Before we look at this, let's look at the different types of materials, and specifically construction materials. Which one do you think is the hardest material? Which material do you think is the most brittle? Which material do you think is transparent? Bricks are very hard, right? Cement, concrete, sand, reinforcement steel, glass, plastic, wood, and tiles. These are different materials that we use for construction. Do they all have the same properties? No, they have different properties. Let's look at some natural materials and synthetic materials or man made materials. Natural materials are like wood, metal, sand, and copper. Man made, and when we say man made, it means like it's made by human, like rubber, tables, spoons, clay pots, and statues made of copper. Now, I want you to look around your room and find some materials that are made of find some items that are made of natural materials. Could you find anything that's made of natural materials? That's correct. The table that you're sitting on right now, if it's made of wood, then it's made of natural material, which is wood. Let's look at the two pictures here. We have natural fibers and synthetic fiber. Natural fibers like wool, cotton, linen, silk, and cashmere. They're natural. And we have synthetic material like polyester, nylon, spandex. Which ones do you think are the most expensive? Of course, the natural, right? And here it says synthetic material is a material that is obtained from a natural material which has undergone a chemical reaction in a lab or laboratory. What do we see here in a picture? It's glass that's shattered, shattered glass, right? So brittle means it's hard but liable to break easily. So this glass is hard, but it can be broken easily. Ductability. Ductability means the capacity of a material to deform permanently, stretch, bend, or spread in response to stress. This copper wire can be stretched, it can be bent, and it can be spread. So it's ductable. Some students are confused between the difference between ductability and malleability. So, ductability refers to the ability of a material to stretch under tensile stress, while malleability refers to the ability to deform and change the shape under a compressive stress. Ductable materials can be rolled into wires. Malleable materials can be rolled into sheets. Measured by bend test, measured by the ability to withstand pressure. Affected by the grain size, affected by the crystal structure. What do we see here? We see a tent or a ceiling or a roof that's made of some type of material that's very um, elastic. It can be stretched. Tensile. Tensile is a material that is capable of being drawn out or stretched. So let's say you change this material into metal. Can you stretch metal? No, because it's very hard. It's not tensile. Let's look at some types of materials that are conductors and some of the materials that are insulators. Here we have conducting materials like silver, gold, copper, steel, and seawater. They conduct electricity, they conduct heat. Some other materials are also insulators. That means they do not conduct heat or they do not conduct electricity, like rubber, glass, oil, diamond, and dry wood. So insulator material is a type of material which does not easily allow heat or electricity to pass through it. What do we see here in the picture? We see different types of tables. Are they made of the same material? No, they're made of different materials. What is this table made of? Made of metal. In this table, it's made of wood. In this table, it's made of wood and glass. In this table, it's made of metal and wood, while this one is made of glass and metal. Which one do you think has the best material and why? There is no right or wrong answer to that. It depends on the project and what is the table is used for. But if we're talking about reliability, and if we're talking about the most brittle table would be the glass table because it can break easily, right? But the most reliable table probably would be the wood one or the metal one. There are so many reasons that you should consider before starting a project and choosing your material. For example, if we want to use a table at a site where there's a lot of fire or there's a lot of fire occurrences, so you probably want to use a metal table or a glass and metal to avoid wood because wood is flammable material and um, it can be flammable at any time. Here we see different types of materials: plastic, steel, concrete, mud, ceramic, glass, sand, tile. Do they all have the same properties? No, they don't. They have different properties. Which materials would you choose for the above projects and why? Windows. Which material would you choose for windows? Metal, glass, wood, or plastic? That's correct. A lot of you said glass. Why? Because glass is transparent. So that's a good thing. You can see through glass. So if you want to have a good view of the garden outside your window, so you want to use glass for windows because they are transparent and they're see-through. That's a good thing, though. What is a bad thing about glass as a material? That's correct. It's brittle. It can break easily. I'm going to let you think about the rest of these items, and I want you to think what type of material would you use for these projects, and why would you choose that material? So, what did we talk about today? We talked about different types of materials and how every material has different properties. And it's very important to consider the properties of the materials you will be using in a project based on the nature of your project. That's it for today. Thank you for watching my video, and I'm looking forward to meeting you on another video soon.